There is a subconscious block that is sabotaging high performers every single day. And nobody is talking about it. Not the therapists, not the mindset coaches, not the self-help gurus selling you the next meditation and journaling framework. And I get it, because on the surface, you look fine. You're successful by every external measure. You're disciplined, you're driven, you are intelligent. But something underneath keeps pulling the handbrake right before that big decision, right before that next level, right before you step into who you know you're capable of becoming. And you can't quite name it. You can't logic your way out of it. You've tried, God knows, and it's still there. That's because this particular block doesn't show up in the way people expect it to. It doesn't look like fear. It doesn't look like self-doubt. It doesn't even feel like a block. It feels like wisdom. It feels like caution. Sometimes it even feels like integrity. And that is exactly why it is so dangerous. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what this block is, why it's the one that keeps the most high-performing people stuck for the longest time, and how to destroy it at its root. The block that disguises itself as virtue. Most blocks are identifiable. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, the imposter syndrome. People can name those. They can work on those. They at least know that they are there. But this block, it's different. It disguises itself as something positive. It shows up as, I just want to be sure before I commit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I need to be ready first. You see, this sounds like groundedness, like self-awareness, like humility. But underneath all of that language is one core belief. I am not yet allowed to have what I want. This is the block. The subconscious belief that you have not yet earned the right to have what you want. It creates a ceiling that you keep bumping into, not because you're not capable, but because a part of you believes that you have not paid enough, you haven't suffered enough, or proven yourself enough to get what's on the other side. Why is this so insidious? Because it masquerades as virtue. You never challenge it. You actually defend it. You call it realistic. Meanwhile, it's capping every area of your life. Your income, your relationships, your performance, and your sense of self. So where does this block actually come from? This block does not come from logic. It comes from a specific type of emotional conditioning. At some point, usually early in life, you received the message, either directly or through experience, that having too much, wanting too much, or being too much was dangerous. Maybe success in your environment attracted criticism or resentment. Maybe the people you loved most struggled, and unconsciously you decided that thriving while they suffered was a betrayal. Maybe you were praised for being humble and punished socially or emotionally for being too confident, for being too ambitious, for being too visible. The subconscious took all of that data and drew a conclusion. Staying small keeps me safe. Staying small keeps me connected. Staying small keeps me loved. And that conclusion became your identity. And now, every time you try to grow out of that invisible line, your subconscious fires the alarm. Not because you are in danger, but because the old version of you learned that expansion was. This isn't a mindset problem. This isn't even a strategy problem. This is a deep identity level pattern running on data that is years out of date. How does this show up in high performers specifically? This block especially shows up in high performers because high performers are exceptional at compensating. They build systems, they build routines and disciplines that allow them to function at a high high level, despite the block running underneath. So from the outside, and often from the inside, everything looks fine, but the block shows up in specific recurring ways. Achieving a goal and immediately feeling empty or anxious instead of satisfied. Hitting a new level of success and immediately finding something to worry about or sabotage. Feeling chronic guilt around rest, celebration, or receiving. Consistently undercharging, undervaluing, or under-presenting what you do. Getting close to major breakthrough, but then pulling back. Changing your direction, causing and creating drama, or simply just going quiet. These are not random patterns. They are the subconscious enforcing its ceiling. And the higher you push, the harder it pushes back. Because the gap between where you are and what the subconscious believes that you deserve keeps widening. So why don't the standard approaches touch this? Most personal development work approaches this at the wrong level. Therapy explores where it came from, but understanding the origin of a pattern does not automatically dissolve the pattern. Motivation tries to overpower it, but you cannot sustain motivation against a belief that is running 95% of your behavior beneath the surface. Affirmations try to replace it, but the subconscious rejects statements that contradict its existing model of who you are. Journaling creates awareness of it, but awareness alone does not equal change. None of these approaches go to where the block actually lives, the identity level. The block is not a thought. It is not a memory. It is a deeply embedded belief about what you're allowed to have, be, and become. And it requires identity level work to dismantle. Not insight, not motivation, not repetition of positive statements. You have to find the specific conclusion that created it, interrupt it at the subconscious level, and replace it with lived, embodied experience of your new identity. So how to actually destroy it? Step one is to name it specifically. Not just, I have a limiting belief, but I specifically believe that I am not allowed to fill in the blank until I have fill in the blank. The more specific the belief, the more workable it becomes. Step two, trace it to its origin. Not to blame the past, but to understand that the conclusion was drawn in a context that no longer exists. The rule was made by a much younger version of you, operating with far less information. Step three is to identify how it's showing up. Map the specific decisions, avoidances, and patterns in your life that this block has been driving, making it visible and concrete, not abstract. Step four is to create contradicting evidence. Take deliberate actions that the old identity would not take. Not huge leaps, just small, consistent identity level contradictions and actions that give your subconscious new evidence to work with. Step five, reinforce the identity under pressure. The block will reassert itself most strongly when the stakes are high. This is exactly where most people collapse back. Having a process and external support at this stage is the difference between a temporary fix, is the difference between a temporary shift or a permanent one. This is not a one-time exercise. This is a systematic dismantling of an old pattern and the installation of a new operating system. And when it works, when the block is genuinely gone, the change is unmistakable. Not just in how you feel, but in how you move, decide, communicate, and perform. Here's the truth about this block. It has been with you for so long and disguised itself so well that you have never directly confronted it. You've worked around it, you've compensated for it, and you've most certainly achieved despite it. But it is still there, quietly deciding what you're allowed to have. And it will keep doing that until someone helps you go directly to the root and help you remove it. This is the only move that actually works. If you're an entrepreneur, an executive, a trader, athlete, or any sort of high performance who recognized yourself in this video, the next step is a conversation. Not a course, not a framework, a direct personal conversation about what is specifically running underneath the surface and what it would take to permanently change the patterns. That's what we do inside the 8-week identity and performance coaching program. One-on-one, personalized to you, built around your specific blocks, your specific patterns, and the specific version of you that is waiting on the other side of this very deep inner work. We take 2 to 3 clients at a time, and every application is reviewed personally. If you're serious, click the first link in the description and book a call with me. I'll see you there.